What if everything you thought was real wasn't?
Sorry, what is this?
Welcome back to another episode of the High Frequency Chaos. Today, we're diving down into the rabbit hole of Project BB. For those who know, you know what I'm talking about. Blue beam, baby. Let's get it.
The fourth and final stage of Project Bluebeam is the most sinister. Serge Monast predicts a universal supernatural manifestation with electronic means. In other words, an alien invasion. The elites will promise to unite and defend the world against our common enemy. But to do that, they'll need emergency power. But it's only temporary, so we won't resist authority. We'll beg for it.
One is to make mankind believe that an alien invasion is about to occur at every major city on Earth, in order to provoke each major nation to use its nuclear weapons in order to strike back. The United Nations Court will require that all nations which launch nuclear weapons disarm when the invasion is shown to be false. And how would the United Nations know that the invasion was false? They will have staged it, of course.
Everybody knows something's up. Everybody knows. That is not normal. Everyone is looking up, wondering why the sky is split. Look. Sky is broken. And everybody knows something's fishy, don't you? It's fishy, ain't it?
You know, that's the first time I ever seen this.
That's right.
It's fishy.
All right, so who is Serge Monast? We're about to dive down this rabbit hole of Serge Monast and his wild theories. But with all the recent drone sightings, with all the talks of aliens, UAPs, dimensional shifts, CERN, and so forth, do you think that this theory is far-fetched? Enough said. Let's get diving.
Years. Project Bluebeam. By far the scariest years we may see. This conspiracy achieved its status in 1994 by a book that was written by Serge Monast. In the book, the writer describes how the United Nations, in collaboration with NASA's technology, will unite the whole world under a new false religion. But how? There will be, supposedly, an alien invasion, which is all part of the whole show, of course. And one day, a hero, a god, will come from the skies and destroy these aliens. And us, human beings, we will not believe our own eyes and start to worship this god. Whatever this god orders will happen. One world order. This is called the Project Bluebeam. Now, I don't believe that they have the technology that is capable of deceiving us yet. But in the near future, they might very well be able to make them. If you are a Muslim or a Christian, this whole show must ring a bell. This is the person we have been warned about more than 1,000 years ago. If this happens, this is the Dajjal, the Antichrist. Be prepared.
If aliens end up being proven real, how does that impact religion and how we view God?
Project Bluebeam. Have you heard about this?
No.
So they're basically saying that they're gonna stage an alien takeover and use military wars, and it's propaganda, right? Do I believe in it? I don't know if anything that I hear now is real or not, but does it debunk the Bible if there's aliens? Because to me, God's an alien, right?
Oh.
God's an alien. He's not from this earth. He created it. He's out of it. So technically an alien is out of this earth. Aliens to me is like an angel. He's not walking around at Trader Joe's with me.
The cool thing about Christianity is it all comes down to a historical event. Whether that event happened or not proves or disproves the whole thing. I can't think of a single other religion that does. And so whether they're aliens or not, there could be, and perhaps they are physical and they're like humans, so they do have the imprint of the image of God. But just like a lot of the tough Old Testament, like slavery questions, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter at all if the resurrection occurred. And so that's the crazy part about the resurrection. Was a man actually not just resuscitated, did he come back to life? And was he God?
So you're saying aliens or not aliens, it's a moot point. It doesn't take away from Jesus dying.
So Serge Monast said that step one of Project Bluebeam was going to involve the manufacturing of artificially created earthquakes in strategic locations around the world. Again, to make it clear, he is stating in The second step, he says, was going to involve a giant show from space. Essentially, they were going to use three-dimensional optical holograms that were going to project holographic images to beam across. The third step is even more far-fetched. He says that this is going to involve artificial intelligence. Again, I just like to state this over and over again. He was saying this in 1994. Artificial intelligence that was going to be able to use mind control to reach people inside of their minds. And this was going to involve rays from satellites that are being fed memories from our computers that have stored massive data about every single human being on Earth. And finally, the fourth step of Project Bluebeam was going to use various technologies in order to convince people that alien invasions were taking place, alien invasions, and even the rapture itself, thus making it easier for governments and the powers that be to take control of a fear-addled population.
Humans against aliens. Their plan is to create, eventually, an hoax, a threat from outer space, to try to unite the world, like Independence Day, the movie, in a sort of a military global junta of humans against aliens. It's all nonsense. It's BS. But it sells well. It sells movies. It sells tickets. It sells books.
This is the Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam?
Yeah, that related to that. And I've met with many men who've been on operationally, like literally have been operational on those programs. Now, it went from really clunky stuff, like the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. People think that was alien. It wasn't. It's us.
What are your thoughts so far on Serge Monast? Now, what I'm about to show you may just seem like some harmless show put on, for the entertainment of the masses. What I believe, it's a preconditioning tool used to deceive the masses. The Bible says the world will be deceived by a mass deception. Even the elect will be fooled.
This is how they will fake an alien invasion. Research Project Bluebeam. They can literally project anything they want into the sky and it looks real because it's a 3D projection.
What is Project Bluebeam? I'm going to attempt to break it down for the uninitiated. 1994, Canadian journalist and conspiracy theorist named Serge Monast came out with a claim that sometime in the future, NASA, with the help of the United Nations, would attempt to simulate a second coming, and that this would take place in 4 stages. So the first step would be the breaking down of all the archaeological knowledge by faking earthquakes at precise locations around the planet. The second step, gigantic space show where 3-dimensional holographic laser projections will be beamed all over the planet. The projections will take place of whatever deity is most predominant and will speak in all languages. Step 3, telepathic electronic two-way communications, which involves making people think their God is speaking to them through telepathy, projected into the head of each person individually using extreme low-frequency radio waves. Step 4 actually has 3 parts to it. The first part is making humanity think an alien invasion is about to occur in every major city. The second part is making the Christians think the rapture is about to happen. And the third part is a mixture of electronic and supernatural forces, allowing the supernatural forces to travel through fiber optics, coax, power, and telephone lines to penetrate all electronic equipment and appliances. This is crazy stuff. Why then is it being reported that an aide close to President-elect Donald Trump has said that Project Bluebeam is currently underway? We are living in insane times.
Attached to Project Bluebeam. Can you describe what that is?
Well, that's another subculture term that's been attached to a series of projects that involve what the Pentagon, what they call a deceptive indication and warning, or a false INW, which is a false flag. And it's the ability to stage, through very advanced technologies, an alien attack or an alien event. And it's a whole series of them. Now, what most people don't know about, since late 50s, early 60s, like the Barney Hill case and all that, those were all human assets abducting innocent people made to look alien. And so that psychological warfare was authorized in 1953, 54. 1954, we mastered gravity control. So we started deploying these assets to begin to condition the public that there's a scary threat from outer space. I mean, look at Hollywood, Alien, Ridley Scott's the movies. If you want to see a script for what's coming fairly soon, look at the movie Independence Day. Okay. It's right out of central casting for this covert group. So what their whole purpose is to create sort of a global militarized totalitarian superstate of the world fighting another world. It's like War of the Worlds. Okay. And that's been
the main purpose of these projects is to deceive the masses. But we will wake up. We, this channel, High Frequency Chaos, and many others will continue to wake people up, or try to. Never fear. This channel does not promote fear at all. God has not given you the spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. Yes, be aware. Do your research and see what's happening. Be a watchman or watchwoman, but never live in fear. Never live with your head in the sand, buried, afraid. Never, never, never. All right? Project Bluebeam. This is just a conspiracy theory, but with everything that's going on in the world, it can seem very scary. But here, we don't fear, right? Let's go.
Can you talk to me? Can you hear me? Jesus loves me. Oh, you know Jesus. You know Jesus. Jesus is awesome, isn't he? Yes, he is. God is good. God is good. God is good.
So there's a lot of controversy online about this clip. People are saying it's a star. Some is saying it's the Beetlejuice star. And I told y'all like 2 videos ago that this could be an Ophium, an angel, right? Or it could be a demon. It could be an alien. But the fact that this woman, with her faith, stated Jesus' name, and the fact that the star, the Orpheum, the alien, whatever you want to think it is, let me know in the comments the fact it reacted to those words. The name of Jesus, Yeshua, has power.
We have not.
Many
Okay. People ask me, you've been to Area 51. Okay, please. SpaceX actually has Area 59. It's even better, 8 better than 51. So, among the set of actions we can take that are likely to increase the scope and scale of consciousness such that we are better able to understand the nature of the universe, one of those actions is to become a multi-planet species or ensure that life is multiplanetary. Not because I think something that it's not from the standpoint of it just being an escape hatch, or because I think that Earth is doomed, but there is a certain probability that is irreducible that something may happen to Earth. Despite our best intentions, despite everything we try to do, there's a probability at a certain point that some either external force or some internal unforced error causes civilization to be destroyed, or sufficient.
Yo, is Elon talking about Project Looking Glass? For those who know, you know.
I think he's been threatened, but it's a CIA document from 1985 where it describes the CIA conducting alien abductions in Brazil and Argentina on poor people in remote areas using man-made UFOs that are these anti-grav devices, and specialized things that look like an alien, but it's actually a robotic, very advanced sort of device, to advance this agenda of fear. And it actually says in the document the exact words from 1953 for its psychological warfare value.
So at this point, I think most people are thinking, wow, 2024 was crazy. Can't top that. But every year we've topped it. And I'm telling you, 2025 is going to be insane. And I'll tell you why. Right now, we have a potential civil war. We have a potential World War III. We have this crazy Moriarty-style Batman in the bushes assassination thing going on. But then there's these drones. And now, again, everyone's calling them drones, but then they say we really don't know what the hell these things are. But these things are like the size of cars flying around all over the world. And at first you would think, okay, it's just the U.S. military doing their thing, right? But here's the thing. This isn't happening just in the U.S. This is happening in the U.S., the U.K., Canada, China, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Japan, India, Russia. Like, this is happening almost literally everywhere in the world that we're seeing these sightings. And it's not like, oh, you know, we saw a sighting in October, another in November. This is every day. We're seeing sightings everywhere. And we can't figure out what these things are. And, you know, there's 3 possible options. One, they're ours. And the military, just for whatever reason, is not communicating with governors and mayors and letting everyone just go into hysterics, which I don't think that would actually happen. Number 2, it's a foreign entity such as China or Russia or something like that, in which case you would think that by now we would have followed them back to their own country. And like, if you're a country and you're hovering drones over top of military installations all over the world, that is a declaration of war. And you can't tell me that the U.S. military hasn't, you know, identified where they're from, where they're coming from, where they're landing, and then decided, okay, you've declared war on us. If that were the case, we would already be bombing somebody. So I don't think it's necessarily theirs. But then what does that leave, right? That leaves an ET possibility. But like, come on, man. Like, are we really there? Is this really where we're at? We're believing now that aliens are hovering over top of us, and we're so incredibly desensitized to this that we're just like, huh, that's weird. and then get back to our daily life. So anyway, it's my prediction that 2025 is going to make 2024 look like a nursery rhyme. We are going to start off this year with a bang. And I don't know where that bang is coming from. I don't know if it's within, if it's over in the Middle East or Russia, or if it's coming from the skies. But man, 2025 is going to be in the history books for sure.
If you're telling us the truth, everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
Well,
non-human?
naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
Of the band. Why is no one talking about this? These are not real people, and this is not a real guy. These are digital avatars of the band ABBA. The ABBA Voyage shows feature performers that are digital avatars, which look so convincing that they've sold over 1.5 million tickets, and they make $2 million per week, and the shows are constantly sold out. The members of ABBA are now in their 70s, but their avatars look just like they did in 1976. They had the band members wear motion capture suits, and they filmed them for hours. And then 3D digital avatars were constructed and projected onto these 65 million pixel screens that make them look perfectly real. So it's not exactly a hologram yet, but the next step in this technology seems like it would be a hologram that's indistinguishable from reality.
All of these artists and movie stars are about to lose their jobs to avatars and AI.
This is really wild, the UFO stuff is coming to light.
We're kind of preparing the U.S. population, at least, and by extension, the world population, into that reality that there is a presence here, and that we need to explain this presence. Because if they show up and we continue to do what we did before in previous decades, and they show up, there will be mass panic. But if you understand that these are real, and we have 5 years from 2022, or maybe now 4 years, if they come in 2027, for the U.S. government to prepare the people about what is up there. And in many ways, I think the word got out within the government that they're showing up in 2027, and we better be prepared. And if not, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do. And so I think that dialogue has happened within, inside the government, in certain areas inside the government, that we need to prepare. And that's why in 2017, that set a clock of 10 years. And why Lou Elizondo earlier in this year said, just find a hobby for 5 years. And, it'll all be out in 5 years. And he said that this year, so that was 2027. And I would say I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity that I can't reveal. So I think I would say that people in the government are aware of something happening, and that there's limited time, a few more years to prepare the people, and that's what's ramping up this acceleration from the previous 7 decades of not even acknowledging it to now we are acknowledging it at a faster and faster pace.
What are your thoughts on what this man is saying here? I believe that the powers that be, the world shadow governments, are preconditioning us and preparing us. They have always been through the movies, through media, through songs, through music videos, and now they're doing it in the skies.
Monast discovered that Project Bluebeam will create the biggest hoax ever conceived. Using advanced technology and psychological manipulation, this illusion will be so convincing that it becomes the new reality shared by everyone on Earth, a reality controlled by an elite few. Project Bluebeam has 4 key goals to ensure everyone's primary allegiance is to the New World Order. First, destroy religion. Second, destroy national pride. Third, destroy the family. And fourth, destroy individual creative freedom.
Hello, this is already
Project
happening.
Bluebeam. So a lot of you all have been wanting me to go over Project Bluebeam recently. But quickly, I want to mention that Project Bluebeam is a very wild theory and it can get a little scary, so I'm just giving you a small warning. In short, Project Bluebeam is the theory that there is a plan to combine every single country in this world into one government and then have everybody on Earth follow this one government and worship a false god created by this one government. The theory states that they plan to do this by first faking an alien invasion or some sort of catastrophic event. Then once people are terrified and panicking, they will use advanced holograms to bring in a false god to save us from that situation. It will then be mandatory for people to follow this false god, and if you refuse, you will probably be persecuted or even worse off. Now, as crazy as this theory sounds, it's actually some very scary coincidences between the theory and what's happening in our real world today. You want me to go over that?
Have y'all heard of this Project Bluebeam? Well, I just did some research, last night at midnight, which is just the best time to start digging into stuff. I was up for a couple of hours digging into this, and let me show you what I found. Let's read this together, shall we? Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory about a supposed project whose purpose is to create an artificial second coming. In order to control people. As per the alleged theory, the New World Order's purpose is 1. To abolish all Christian and traditional religions in order to replace them with a one world religion based on the cult of man. We see that in Christalism, whatever. To abolish all national identities and national pride in order to establish a world identity and world pride. To abolish the family as known today in order to replace them with individuals all working for the glory of the new world government. Apparently, the world's government's investigations into the limits of visual manipulation did not stop there. According to the Project Bluebeam theory, NASA and the United Nations then began developing technology that would be able to project images into the sky over the entire Earth. The technology allegedly involved using satellites orbiting the Earth to project an image that could be seen by an entire nation or even the entire world. What was the purpose of this technology? To create a technologically simulated second coming of Christ and convince the world of the veracity of Christianity. According to the theory, once the world was united under a single religion, the New World Order would be able to more easily manipulate the minds of the people and replace the governments of the world with a single fierce dictatorship. And who was set to sit on the head of this global new dictatorship? The Antichrist, of course. This stuff is not even hidden anymore. I mean, it's out there just right in front of our eyes. And it breaks my heart knowing that there are going to be so many people deceived. And the Bible talks about this in multiple places, that in the end times there will be many that are deceived, that possibly even the elect, meaning even believers might be deceived. So just take this as a warning. Be very, very discerning. Very discerning. Ask God for wisdom and discernment and test every spirit. Don't believe everything that you see.
We're going to dive a little bit into Billy's theory about Yeshua and Jesus Christ.
A lot of people don't realize that Yeshua, at the age of 12, aka Jesus is what he's known in modern times, at the age of 12, he disappeared, like you said, disappeared from the Bible completely. Well, where was he? He went to Egypt. And the proof of this is Coptic Cairo. In Coptic Cairo, the house that he lived in is still there. It's now a Coptic church. The bed, everything is still there. It's a shrine now. This person was real. It wasn't a fairy tale. He actually did exist. Yeah. He was there with his mom actually for some time. And what did he go there for? He went to study and learn the Egyptian mysteries. He was an adept initiate into the Egyptian mysteries. Then he traveled to Tibet to learn Reiki healing, Qigong, healing with his hands. That was confirmed by the Dalai Lama. Then he went down into India, where he learned the mystic arts, teaching reincarnation all the way back. And you can find evidence of this in a little-known scripture named the Gospel of the Holy 12, which is omitted from the Bible. He realized that he went to go learn the devil's work, Egyptian mysteries, which was really the teachings of Thoth the Atlantean. So anywhere in the New Testament where you see Jesus speaking or quoted as saying something, in my book, I have the Thoth's words from the Emerald Tablet and Jesus' words side by side, where you can see he's saying the same thing that Thoth was saying 36,000 years ago.
I am fully convinced that Billy is a plant. And when I say this, he has dismantled or tried to dismantle a lot of Christian faiths. A lot of Christians have stayed away and have followed Billy's doctrines or his theories. And I was one of them. But until God finally woke me up and I'm using my discernment now, and I did a deep dive on Billy, I believe he's a plant, and I will do a deep dive on that. Not to expose Billy as a human, but to expose the plant that he is. The fact that he tried to discredit, or he's still trying, and he did discredit the Bible, and took Yeshua's name and just blasphemed it in a way that made a lot of believers think twice.
You probably won't believe this is real, but recent advancements in 3D hologram technology are leading us towards a future filled with ultra-realistic virtual experiences, which may very well completely blur the lines between what's real and what's not. This progress will transform how we interact with digital content, making it more lifelike than ever. Applications in entertainment, education, and beyond could be profoundly impacted. However, the full scope of this technology's influence, including potential uses for possible ominous purposes, remains a topic of open-ended and intriguing debate. What could they end up using this technology for as it advances? Be sure to like and leave your thoughts.
Look at you mortals. Come defy me. This is
There was noise coming from the sky and these animals appeared nowhere running in the park.
I have never seen this clip, and this clip is back in 2021, but the Sounds in the Skies and Project Bluebeam has been going on for quite some time. Are these deers and does running away from what they heard and saw in the sky?
Believe anymore. Isn't it interesting how we're starting to see a lot of UFO videos like this start to surface and no one trusts them because they think it's AI? We literally don't know what to believe anymore, and that is all by design. However, it would behoove you to use your gift of discernment. A lot of the videos you are seeing are a combination of things, from planes getting ready to land to drones prepping for Project Bluebeam. Now, if you don't know what Project Bluebeam is, it's when the government fakes an alien invasion and uses a false god to save humanity. They've been experimenting with UFO tech for years, and they've been prepping you all to fear them. Some of you all even fear that they're demons because they're fallen angels. And you would be right in a sense because they are fallen from a higher density, but they are not evil. They've been here all along. They exist in higher dimensions. They have to sink down to come to our dimension. So when we see them, it's because they lowered their frequency to allow us to see them. Or we are matching the frequency that they're on, which is exactly what we are all collectively doing. Every single one of you is able to attract your own UFO encounter. This was one of the many things we were able to accomplish when I was at the Monroe Institute for the Gateway Experience. We meditated every day for hours. Our frequency was so high, we literally manifested them every night.
That's not a plan. Too low for satellite net.
Which leads me to believe that the government does not care that we know about the existence of UFOs. They just don't want you to know how powerful you truly are. This is why they didn't confirm nor deny her question about if these crafts were controlled with our mind. They know how powerful our thoughts are. They've been experimenting with human consciousness for a while. The thing is, we don't truly know. Not only do our thoughts control their crafts, but they create realities. These beings are here to remind us who and what we truly are. And that's why they've been prepping you to fear them.
He has an interesting take here, and that's why I threw him here in the clip. I don't agree with everything he's saying, but I found it to be interesting and wanted to know your thoughts on what he just said there.
How do you speak English? So you just picked up English, just like that, because you're so smart, right?
It can use that. Project Bluebeam is about the government's plan to stage an alien invasion so that they can use that to control us. They've been telling us this for years. What happened in Spider-Man Far From Home?
He had all the robots.
Mysterio took control of Iron Man's drone that he gave to Peter Parker. He used it to make holograms to stage an invasion.
Those are the same type of lights I used to see when I lived in New York back in the day. This was about 5 years ago, 2019. 11 o'clock at night, the skies lit up like that. I lived in Long Island at the time. That's about 15-20 miles from New Jersey without traffic. With traffic, you're looking at 4 hours.
So remember when everybody was talking about Project BB? You know, I just find this hologram technology very interesting. But as I can see, there's a serpent flying around this Aztec deity. Quite intriguing, especially when you add in the fact that the AI is upgrading faster than we can possibly imagine. And we already reached the point to where reality is on a blurred line. Where some of the videos now, you don't even know it's real. So now if they attach that to a hologram, Houston, I think we will have a problem. Yeah. And we definitely living in some strange times where strange things is now the norm. Because never would I ever thought that I'd be seeing a giant demigod levitating with a hologram with a giant serpent playing Ring Around the Rosie on top of a pyramid.
Yeah. You know that Elon Musk's younger brother, Kimball Musk, owns a drone entertainment company? Drone entertainment company. This company's called Nova Sky Stories, and they create massive drone light shows. You've probably seen them at events like the Super Bowl or even the Olympics. It all started after Kimball saw a magical drone show at Burning Man. He was so inspired, he bought Intel's entire drone light show division, 9,000 drones. Now, Nova Sky Stories combines tech and art to create mind-blowing aerial displays. Here's the coolest part. They work with top artists and producers to bring these stories to life, making your favorite events unforgettable. But we're talking about entertainment drones. Not New Jersey mystery drones.
The pyramid.
Who are they? Where are they from?
It's other, weirder, unidentified flying objects.
And what is their intent?
Pyramid-shaped objects flying in the sky.
The pyramid-shaped UFOs and many other objects have been spotted flying in the sky for quite some time now, and while looking at these objects, it seems that they're pretty much real. But is this something that is happening in reality, or is there any other agenda behind that? Like the world's governments planning a fake alien invasion? Since, as followers of Christ, we are aware that there are going to be many things that will happen at the end times, which will actually not be real. And the recent Bluebeam project actually verifies all of that. So, in today's video, we're going to be covering the details of this project and how it's linked with the Great Rapture Deception. So, if you're someone who's keen to know about this matter, then this video is for you. Watch this video till the very end to get the details of everything that's happening today. So, to start with, we'll first look into 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9 through 11, where God tells us about the Great Rapture Deception and how people will fall for it. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan, with all power and false signs of wonders. And then in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11, therefore God sends them a strong delusion, so that they may believe what is false. Here in these verses, we're being told by God that this strong delusion is actually on its way, and that the people will believe the lie. So there are going to be great delusions near the end of times, and for which the Project Bluebeam is and will be used to cover the rapture and make people believe as if the rapture is happening, yet it won't be. Now, you might be wondering about this term Project Bluebeam. So let's learn about this project a little and see what it actually is. Project Bluebeam is a theory that was introduced by a Canadian investigative journalist, Serge Monast, in the mid-90s. Now, according to this theory, NASA and the United States have begun to develop cutting-edge technology. Using this technique, the entire Earth will see a sky simulation made by satellites positioned at various locations on the planet. By using this technology, they are capable of simulating a fake alien invasion or a stage of Christ's second coming using a hologram projection. Now, why are they actually doing that? According to the conspiracy, using this approach and in collaboration with the Antichrist, and by creating an imitation of the second coming, all humanity on Earth will be united under the structure of the Blue Beam. This will make establishing total control easier, and the subsequent stages required for building the New World Order will take less time. Now, this may sound absolutely insane to you, but there are actual videos of 4D holograms of different objects that, when looked at for the first time, look incredibly real. Here's a video clip of a concert where we can see these whales flying during the show. It seems as if these are real whales and are actually flying in the air. Now, one can look at this video and see how realistic it looks, which brings us to another clip, which was caught on camera from China. It was called the Floating City at the time, and many claimed that it was due to the Project Bluebeam technology. Here's a video clip so you can understand it better.
This video surfaced out of China, and it looks like their city is floating in the clouds. Of course, we can't verify if the video is real or not, but we have seen things like this before.
This is not the first time that all of this has happened. A few years ago, a weapon known as the Voice of God weapon was introduced to have military control over the Middle East states such as Iraq. The idea behind it was to transmit certain messages into people's minds through radio technology as if God were speaking to them in reality. Now, what are holograms and how do they work? Hologram technology is a projection in 3 dimensions that can be seen without the use of specific devices such as cameras or glasses. Because the image can be observed from any angle, the object appears to move and shift realistically as the viewer wanders around the display. These holographic images can also be fixed, such as a commercial image or animated sequences that can be viewed by numerous individuals from any angle. In recent years, the technology utilized to capture and project holograms has evolved dramatically. These new techniques enable more convincing and interactive models to be exhibited and are likely to become more common in the future. Not only this, but the military is also bringing the use of hologram technology into the actual battlefield. The US military has already put virtual humans to good use. For example, the University of California has used virtual reality characters to touch warfighters in one way or another before, during, and after the combat deployment. This has also led people to believe that the governments will use this technology to fake an alien invasion and blame all the Christians who disappear in the rapture on great alien abductions. Luke chapter 17 verse 34. I tell you, on the night that there will be two people in one bed, one will be taken and the other will be left. So, it's very important for us to know that the rapture is something that will happen one day, and it's undeniable. But with the vast evolution of technology, and especially with the use of holographic technology, it seems like we're very close to those times, where God also tells us about those where everyone will be deceived.
So again, this idea of being able to put sound anywhere you want to is really starting to catch on. It also works for transmitting and communicating data. It also works 5 times better underwater. We've got the military had just deployed some of these into Iraq where you can put fake troop movements a quarter of a mile away on a hillside. Or you can whisper in the ear of a supposed terrorist some biblical verse. I'm serious. And they have these infrared devices that can look at their countenance and see a fraction of a degree Kelvin in temperature shift from 100 yards away when they play this thing. And so another way of hopefully determining who's friendly and who isn't. We make a version of this which puts out 155 decibels. Pain is 120. So it allows you to go nearly a mile away and communicate with people, and there can be a public beach just off to the side and they don't even know it's turned on. We sell those to the military presently for about $70,000, and they're buying them as fast as we can make them. We put it on a turret.
So, in the clip, you were hearing Woody Norris, the director and president of Parametric Sound Corporation, which is known as Turtle Beach Corporation. He was describing the voice of God weapon and what it's capable of. So, all of this is not something that is just made up and what most people think. These latest technological devices are actually being deployed in today's world, and it's pretty apparent they all serve just one purpose, and that is to deceive mankind. This is also linked with the end times scenarios as well. Jesus foretold a time when deception would be exceptionally strong, when false messiahs and prophets would appear. Even God's people may be duped if it weren't for God's providential protection. Matthew chapter 24 verse 24. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. If you just pay a little attention to the words of this verse, where it says that those false prophets will be able to perform great signs and wonders, it shows a strong link to the blue beam and the voice of God weapon technology, where a person is able to create pretty much anything with this technology and can even create the voice of God, which is, of course, not real at all. As believers, we should know that all of these deceptions are orchestrated by the devil. However, in another reference, God's deception is a punishment for those who refuse to believe the truth. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9 through 12. The coming of the lawless is won by the activity of Satan, with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing, because they refuse to love the truth, and so be saved. Therefore, God sends them a strong delusion, so that they may believe what is false, in order that all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. In this verse, after people refused to believe the truth for so long, God caused them to believe what is referred to as the strong delusion. God is not actively deceiving people here. Rather, God is simply offering those who refuse the truth what they truly desire. For example, Pharaoh experienced something similar when he declined to let the Israelites leave Egypt, and God stiffened his heart. Pharaoh would not have been a loyal discipline of the Lord if God had not stiffened his heart. Pharaoh set his heart against the Lord, and God just confirmed Pharaoh's choice for all time. Exodus chapter 8, verse 15. But when Pharaoh saw that there was a simple respite, he hardened his heart and would not listen to them, as the Lord had said. We don't know what the great deception will be, only that it will be powerful enough to shift the world's loyalty toward the Antichrist. According to the Bible, there will be many indications to back up the Antichrist and false prophets' falsehoods during their reign. It seems like the latest technology, such as Bluebeam and the voice of God.
All right, that wraps up another one for the HSC podcast. Thank you for being here with me as we do this deep dive into Project Bluebeam, Project Looking Glass, the drones, the alien videos that we've been covering. It's all connected. The mass deception that's happening, that has been happening to the world. As always, stay safe, stay blessed in these dark, deceptive times. And remember, we are high frequency chaos. Peace!